I'm Dilpreet Raju. I'm staff writer for Illinois Times and a core member for Report for America. This is my first year here in Springfield, Illinois full-time, so excited to be here.
That's awesome. How did your academic journey prepare you for covering community-centric topics?
I think a lot of my journalism has always kind of focused on community topics and issues, primarily because everything that happens at a nationwide or international scale still impacts people locally, but at the same time there's still local issues that aren't talked about as often, and those are the things that journalists need to be concerned with, especially in smaller areas.
Got you. How was your experience as a Report for American core member shape your work at Illinois Times?
I think it's really helping me to kind of think about different ways to explore stories and how to kind of get different stories. I think I fall back into the same sort of patterns of looking at large data sets and trying to figure out what stories are not being told through them. And that's something I still enjoy doing, but Report for America helps me to branch out and sort of learn different ways to find stories and tell them.
What draws you to focus on community storytelling?
I think honestly for me, it's been a focus on the issues that are just underreported. I think it's frustrating when you turn on the news at night or something, and the TV news that is, and you see stuff that really isn't relevant to the problems you're experiencing or you're seeing day to day. And I think that community journalism is sort of supposed to address those things and hopefully eventually steer the news in all avenues to talk about the things that are important.
What do you consider the biggest challenge in local journalism today, especially in Springfield?
I think in Springfield, at least, it's just kind of the lack of reporting. I think there needs to be more journalists, and maybe that's kind of a widespread problem, but sort of similar to everything else that we've been talking about. It's a microcosm that we're experiencing here in Springfield. There's a lot of things going on, but just not enough reporters to cover it all.
What's your typical process in finding stories that matter most in Springfield or surrounding areas?
I think a lot of it has actually been just kind of going to the community meetings and different hearings and things like that might seem obscure or even off topic for what I'm working on potentially, but those are the areas where you'll hear a lot of people who are, have nowhere else to go, and so they go to these meetings to try to get someone to listen to their problems. And those are usually real, sincere problems that can be addressed through some sort of storytelling and journalism. So that's usually a good spot for me to find people to talk to.
What recent stories have you resonated with personally?
I really liked the story that we had Maggie had wrote about alternative newspapers. I think that was kind of an interesting way of considering just journalism as a whole, but then I was also really fascinated by Scott's story about a month ago about a child with a unique disease here in Springfield and how they're trying to get medication that could potentially treat the sickness. So.
Growing up in Chicago suburbs, were you more of a Cubs fan, a Sox fan?
I think I was a Cubs fan. I mean, I remember watching them more on the TV growing up, and I definitely was really into it. And in high school and then in college, my first year in college is when they won. So I kind of have dropped it since. I let part of me die with that victory, but yeah, it was nice to experience for sure.
What's your favorite thing to eat from where you're from and Springfield?
That's a good question. I think from where I'm from, it might be Pequods, which is kind of, it's not in the suburbs, but it's in Chicago. It's a really good deep dish spot. And then in Springfield, that's a good question. Yeah, I'm forgetting what it's called, but there's a rotary sushi place that's really good, and it just opened up like last year or something. I just visited.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I forget the name too. But
Yeah, I saw Michelle there actually one time.
Are you a coffee drinker?
Yes, yeah.
Where do you get your coffee from here in Springfield?
It's like almost always grab a Java.
Yeah.
But I like trying out other spots, but they're definitely kind of the place I fall back on. So I'm sure a lot of them see my face.
Got you. How do you feel about Illinois Times as a whole and your future here?
I feel good. I feel like it's exciting, especially to come into a place that's sort of, I don't know, with what we've been talking about in journalism, it's kind of a interesting, scary time. So for a place to be growing during that time is kind of, it's inspiring for sure. And I think seeing all the work that's done week in, week out really helps me to want to be a better journalist and keep doing what I do.
If you had any advice for any young journalist coming up wanting to follow in your shoes, what advice would you give them?
I think what I try to tell people is that you have to really want to do it, I think, and want to do it for the right reasons, hopefully. Either way, though, I think it's a lot of effort, and it's rewarding work, but also stuff that, I think takes time and energy, and it's not an easy path, but it's one that I think is admirable and worth striving for.